Hello! Welcome back to New Rockstars News. Today we're going to remember the OG hero, the man, the myth, the legend, the original true believer, Excelsior Stan Lee himself. We're also going to get into Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, and Detective Pikachu, and our ideas for a new cinematic universe based on cereal mascots. Yeah, that's going to happen. Joining me today are Sam Bashor and Maude Garrett.
Hi. Hello.
I'm Erik Voss. Philip couldn't be here. Let's get started, guys, and talk about our top story here, Stan Lee. Okay, you know, here at New Rockstars, we love talking about Spider-Man and the X-Men, the Avengers, and every now and then it's important to remember that these characters and their stories are actually created by people, brilliant original creators like Stan Lee. And this week, the nerd universe lost Stan Lee, one of our most important creators. He passed away at the age of 95. He had a huge impact on all of us. Everyone here at this table makes a living based largely on dissecting Marvel movies and TV shows. And I know everyone watching this video has their own stories about how the man or his work at least touched your life. So we thought it would be fun to look back at some of Stan's most famous characters and talk about the inspirations behind them. Stan Lee himself has said Marvel has always been and always will be a reflection of the world right outside our window.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw some superhero fly by the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, unbelievable.
He reflected right off it.
Before Spider-Man, one of the most famous characters in the world, undoubtedly. Oh my gosh, I think his merchandise skyrockets about everything else. Who's created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. Young people, before Spider-Man, were just the sidekicks.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you've got Robin, Jimmy Olsen, all those little ones that are like, can I help? And it's like, no, child, take a seat.
Yeah.
Stan Lee wanted to show that young people actually could do more, and it seemed relevant in the early 60s that was a time in American history when young people are actually getting more involved in politics and protests, which is a lot similar to where we are today as well. Also, Stan Lee, un-Australian as this is, thought spiders were spooky.
They are.
Yeah.
A little bit. They can be cute,
Spiders
but
are friends.
they're a little spooky. And then you have the X-Men, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, which were inspired by the Civil Rights Movement. Before the X-Men, most superheroes and supervillains got their powers by some sort of accident or experiment, but these were heroes that were just born differently. Professor X also is said to represent Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Magneto representing Malcolm X, and also, we were talking about this before, but it was kind of cool that we actually got to do a video with Stan Lee a couple years back.
We did a comic book superhero-based sort of video.
We had to create our own superheroes, and they were sure goofy, and he has his own little Easter egg cameo in that. And it was a very magical experience.
But he was very generous and giving. Like, he was great. And I feel like, you know, he's a granddad for all the geeks. And, you know, he's not 95. And it was like, we know it's going to happen. We just don't want it to happen. But I was lucky enough to interview him at, I think it was WonderCon last year.
Nice.
It wasn't planned. He was walking through. We were like, hey, do you want to have an interview? And he was like, sure. We sat down for like 15 minutes and had a good old chat. It was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
He seems like a real, I unfortunately never got to meet the guy, but I mean, we were talking about some of these, like the way that he was able to turn X-Men mutants and make them a political metaphor for the Civil Rights Movement. And that didn't just apply to the Civil Rights Movement in the 60s, like we saw in the X-Men movies in the 90s and 2000s. It was just the 2000 on, that it kind of became kind of a veiled metaphor for the gay rights movement. And like, it's been multiple generations of metaphors that they can do. There was that joke in Deadpool 2 where he kind of runs up, he's like, you know, X-Men, veiled metaphor for racism in the 60s. So like, all this stuff like was able to teach kids about these complicated social issues and open people's eyes, you know, to these very general, universally accepted themes that sometimes get distorted through like politics about, you know, just tolerance and accepting people who are different, and something that makes you different or subjugated could actually be a strength, you know, and celebrating that and owning that and using that and weaponizing it if necessary. But there's also characters like Iron Man, you know, Iron Man was created in the 60s as well. Iron Man was created by Stan Lee and Don Heck, Larry Lieber and Jack Kirby. And the idea behind Iron Man was to make someone very unlikable become a hero. So, you know, he was a rich weapons manufacturer at the height of the Cold War, but like Stan Lee taught everyone not to judge a book by its cover, and the character became very popular. And again, that's something that was like through multiple generations. Like when Iron Man, the movie came out, it was like right in the height of American intervention in the Middle East. And, you know, we were hearing about weapons manufacturers and different contractors who were getting really involved in the politics and the military industrial complex. So, but it was right around the time when, you know, I feel like America started to wake up, maybe a couple years after, started to wake up to some of the things that we were doing there. Maybe it didn't feel right to a lot of people. So it hit us on another level, both in the comics and watching the movies.
And it resurrected RDJ's career.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's
big time.
be honest,
Like he was kind of done and dusted. He messed up one too many times. battled some really bad addictions, but this movie put him back on the map, not only in this movie, but basically resurrected the comic book movie franchise.
Oh,
big
yeah.
time. Yeah. And I think that, there was a huge influx of tweets from so many celebrities, Hugh Jackman, even Ryan Reynolds, everyone kind of like wanted to say something lovely about this man who gave them giant careers, and RDJ was basically going, thank you, you saved me, me in my career.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like Stan Lee created a lot of these characters. He invented the whole idea of a shared universe. Like that did exist in some levels before, but it was really Marvel. That was Marvel's brand. Unlike some other brands of comics, Marvel, they all lived in New York together, and they would go on adventures together, and they'd go knock on each other's door, and they'd hang out for a bit, or they'd get in trouble together. They'd fight with each other. And the Marvel Studios brand has been essentially the same thing. Infinity War was the largest crossover event in cinematic history, right? But that's what the Infinity Gauntlet comic was. It was exciting to see all these characters appear in one adventure together, and half of them die, and it's crazy. But that whole idea of like characters existing in a neighborhood, it wasn't just like a way to make money. It ended up being like an interesting kind of theme, like
it's a community.
It's a community. Let's have a conversation. We're all in this together, to quote
even
High School Musical.
Even superheroes need friends.
Right. Yeah. You can't do this alone. Yeah, and that theme has been running throughout the Marvel movies. Like they all start off alone, and then in the next movie they end up teaming up with people, and it ends up where there's 22 of them in a movie. And I think that's kind of crucial to all of us. It takes a village.
He also created the slogan to prevent villains from happening, and that is, with great power comes great responsibility.
It's such a great slogan.
Isn't that applicable
it's such
to
a good
so many
way?
things?
It's a great mantra.
Never heard of it. But let's switch gears a little bit. A lot of people are also wondering about the character Stan Lee played in these Marvel movies, all of his cameos, where we know that he shot his cameo for Avengers 4. That came out this week. We don't know about Captain Marvel. I assume if Captain Marvel's wrapped, probably. There's just hasn't been confirmation. Oh. We don't know about Spider-Man Far From Home. There's some rumors, maybe. I'm also wondering if the Avengers 4 cameo could go deeper into that, semi-confirmed theory that we've talked about before, that Stan Lee could be Uatu the Watcher. We saw him talking with the Watchers in the post-credit scene for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, or in this earlier scene, and then he shows up again in the post-credit. And it would just make sense, at least in a metaphorical sense, that this guy's kind of overseeing several different realities and doesn't interfere. He just kind of like appears in different forms.
And I would, you couldn't rag on the Marvel Netflix shows a lot for like a lot of like story reasons and acting reasons, but also I do like the way that they do their Stan Lee cameos when they do them. It's just it's something in the background, and it kind of makes it like an Easter egg of itself. Like you have to be on the lookout for it. So using that, if you adapt that in the movies, it could be a very fun Easter egg hunt for fans and make it still feel involved, and you're still remembering Stan Lee whenever you go into any Marvel movie, because you're like, you know what, like I know we were looking for him physically, like what kind of gag are they going to pull with him now, but like it would be very fun to kind of build that into the fabric of the movie, since they already put so much effort into hiding references to other comic books and characters.
I think the goal here is that we make sure Stan Lee never really dies.
Lives on.
He should. Like his voice is so present in all these comics, and I think that is a great way. What was it in Luke Cage? He was like in the form of a graffiti or like a poster or something like that.
That was actually face? In Deadpool 2. That he was like a big face on the side
mural,
of a building. Yeah. In the Marvel Netflix shows, he is a cop on a promotional poster, or in the departments, it's Captain Forbush, and Forbush is a like a like a fourth wall breaking character from Marvel Comics.
Well, let us know what your thoughts and feelings are about Stan Lee. How did he affect your life, and what character do you think who has like maybe a real world parallel applied to you in your life the most? Did you have a personal moment where you read a Marvel comic that Stan Lee was attached to and felt like, this does kind of voice my own journey? We want to hear from you. Like, this is a time where let's share our memories, let's talk about them, let's do our part in keeping the guy alive. I had to legit
reach out to a few friends just to be like, thinking of you today. I know this is going to be hard.
But let's keep this episode moving on to this week's trivia question. So we all know the rules here. The loser has to do the gift of shame. The winner gets to do the goodbyes. But just to ask the question here, what was the first comic book written by Stan Lee?
I know.
All right, all of our questions and answers are in the bucket here. The loser, as I mentioned before, will have to join our gift of shame. The winner will get to do our goodbyes, and we'll reveal the answer at the end of the episode. But we've got some other news that came out this week, yeah?
Yeah, the movie Fantastic Beasts: Crimes of Grindelwald. The movie's coming out this weekend. How many people are in this poster? The answer is too many.
Well, they cropped it. It actually keeps going about 20 feet that way and that way.
This is zoom and enhance, right? Yeah.
This movie's all about Newt Scamander and his magical creatures. They are back. We've got some fantastic or moderately fine beasts in this one. Now they're more like pets, though. Spoiler warning, if you have not seen this movie, we're going to get into spoiler territory just a little bit, but let's just kick it off by saying if you didn't want to watch this movie before, you're certainly not going to want to watch it now. So this movie is all about the hunt for Ezra Miller's character, Credence, with both sides, Newt Scamander and Dumbledore's side versus Grindelwald's side, trying to find him or convince him to be on their particular side. Or so I think. The storyline and plotline, I think there's about 10 or 12 interweaving at one time.
It's a little muddy, and I think, I don't know, I felt like the movie was too ambitious. I felt like Rowling was biting off more than she could chew.
So my number one thing, and this isn't like anything with writing, the one rule you put into is the kiss effect. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not simple.
It felt like this could have been a very good treatment for a book, like it felt like she was trying to write another book.
Wait, you mean she was trying to do what she does, and then there was no other writer on this movie, and I feel like there wasn't even an editor to the script, and they're like, we're just going to take, I imagine 500 page, like just a giant stack of loose papers being dropped in front of all the cast members, and they're like, we just have to make this. We have to, because all the other ones make money, and so if it doesn't make sense now, we're just going to have to roll with it. And there's so many characters in this movie, it's mind-boggling that they have this much money.
There's so many characters that you don't care about.
I think that's the thing, because with Infinity War, we saw you can have 24 characters in a movie, but we know them. We've seen them in other movies.
Yeah, you're not introducing
we care about them.
More than half of them.
Here's too many characters we don't. I think she I keep blaming Rowling. Who knows? There's a collaborative effort, but the filmmakers here, I think, extended their trust a bit too much with how much we would know and care about these characters' journeys and what their backstories are, and they were introducing mythology as if it was a bombshell. And there's nothing worse than like a storyteller feeling like this is a huge important thing that you're gonna love, and then crickets, right? And I think the story was just a little overcomplicated, being nice.
It's extremely complicated and for no reason whatsoever. And not a diehard fan for Harry Potter. Enjoy it just like everybody else. But for the most part, there's a certain point when I'm like, I've read some of the books. There's no way they're ever this complicated. And it's only the second movie in. And also, I'm going to put this out here really quick. People were already tweeting at me because I put out a review on my YouTube channel. And people were like, no, you don't understand. Like in books, you have bridge books. I'm like, no, you don't. You have books that tell stories that are characters on a journey, but there's a story that happens during the journey. Nothing really happens in this movie.
That's the thing. There's so many smoke and mirrors where they're like, oh, this is going to happen, and it's leading up to this big thing, and then we're finding out more information, and then I'm going to absolutely make all of that irrelevant. Yeah. And you're like, so why did you bother telling a story that doesn't actually even really have an ending? There's a lot that's not fantastic about this movie. Get rid of Zoe Kravitz's character. She was amazing in the movie, but the storyline was irrelevant.
And his brother, Theseus, and all. Get rid of Newt. Sorry, I don't like him. I don't like him as a character.
He's not a good lead.
He doesn't look at the camera, which he shouldn't be, but he doesn't look at he doesn't look at any characters. He's barely speaking, and it's just like, why does anyone like him?
The thing is he's such a reluctant hero. He's so reluctant to be in a spotlight or to have any kind of responsibility or to have like a greater cause. Why are you building 5 movies around a guy that doesn't even want it?
Well, that's okay to have a reluctant hero in the first act. In
the first
you
act
always
of the
introduce
first
a
movie.
character who doesn't want to go on the journey yet. He's not sure, and then something happens to make the hero care about the goal. And at no point does Newt Scamander turn that corner. Be like, oh, suddenly I have a reason to be part of the story.
It may be a tough question to ask here, but was there something that you did like about the film?
Well, here, I'll paint you a picture here. I went and saw it at a special screening, thank you, for the invite, and they offered drinks beforehand. I was 2 Stella Artois in.
That doesn't count. That's not a thing you can like about the movie.
No, but here's the thing. Sat down, immediately you open with seeing a bunch of these fantastic beasts, and you're like, wow, I'm really on board. And right off the bat, I got to say, the CGI in this movie is some of the most impressive CGI I've seen all year. And when you do get introduced to the beasts, they are very creative, and I liked that in comparison to the first Fantastic Beasts movie, which had like 20 they threw at you, and I was like, oh wait, I don't remember all of them.
Called? Yeah.
And this one, it's like there's mainly 3 that you introduce, and they get highlighted, and I really like all of them. So
except that all the beasts were
CGI.
Secondary character in itself.
But that shouldn't be called.
I think that's
Fantastic
more
Beasts.
of a problem with the whole franchise. But I agree. I think this movie made me care about the beasts so much more in this one. When I watched the first one, I wasn't crazy about the first one. I think the plot was a bit simpler, but there were too many beasts, and I thought the Niffler was a little annoying in the first one. This one, I love the Niffler. I love the baby Nifflers. Like anytime a beast came back on screen, the Zoo, and they introduced that whole thing of the Kappa, who has like a water or a head filled with water. Apparently, you give those things a cucumber, and that gets them away from you. It's I don't know.
Have you seen a cucumber around a cat though?
Yeah, they
don't like it.
Yeah,
It works.
That makes sense.
And I did like the little tiny dragons that they would whip their tail and it made like a little spark.
The spark?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like,
Spark
that's a
dragons.
cool
Yeah,
way
that's
to reinvent dragons. There was creativity there, and I wish it stayed on that. But then we'd have to like kind of scoot over half these characters out of the movie. Also, Jude Law should get a lot of praise because he was very entertaining to see on screen, even though he was just playing himself.
Dan Fogel is a brilliant comedic actor, and you can tell, I think, that he was improving and like just experimenting with some of the moments, and they kept them all because he's just so brilliant.
It's really all the performances pretty great.
No.
Not okay. Well, room to grow, right? We got 3 more movies left in this franchise. There's room for improvement. That's a great takeaway from this. If you like this movie, you're not a bad person. We still love the world of Harry Potter. I have
high expectations.
Yes.
And I expecto Patronum.
I have.
Keep those happy
I'm not even going to
thoughts.
say what I was going to say. That was good. I'm going to end on that one.
Well,
but I got it. Okay, let's talk about another thing that came out this week, specifically a trailer. The Detective Pikachu movie we mentioned last week just dropped a trailer, and it left us with one big question. Since when can Pikachu talk? And how?
What?
And why?
And why does he sound like a man who's gone through puberty for sure?
Yeah, like a man-child.
Pikachu.
What does it all mean? What does it mean? Now,
I
we've
choose
heard Pikachu speak once before in Pokemon I Choose You. It's
I choose you.
Ash has a sort of head trauma, believe a concussion, and he hears Pikachu talk to him, or he imagines Pikachu talking to him. I have seen this clip.
It's a great clip.
The audience loses their mind over it. It's unclear. But in Detective Pikachu's trailer, it seems that only Justice Smith's character can understand him. So, can all Pokemon talk, but none have found their one human that can understand them? If so, is this really? It really makes you think. Honestly,
if you extrapolate.
You know,
what
the
does that
problem
mean?
with that is that when I deal with Pokemon, the last thing that I want to do is think.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's very clear. It's just that you go find more, and then you put them in your little Pokeballs, and you're good to go.
Yep.
Yes.
You
You battle them and then
dematerialize-
revive them because they're dead fighting for you.
They faint. They don't die. They faint.
Not when I play with them.
Yeah. Oh, Sam.
But I did want to say, I did read an extremely long synopsis for this movie that was online.
Great.
And Detective Pikachu, I believe the way I interpret it is that he was partners with Justice Smith's dad, who is missing now. And I believe since they were partners, for some reason, they could talk to each other. And so now he went to the son. And so from familiar genetic... I don't
if
know,
you have at least
predisposition to be able
50% of the host's DNA
yeah,
in you
like
as a child
Venom.
would.
There you go.
Yeah,
It's like
then you
Venom,
get to
but it's
also
him.
talk.
There you go.
It doesn't answer the question of why why Harry could talk to Pikachu just because they're partners.
Don't think.
I've been partners with Pokemon before. They will not talk to me.
They will not. They're pretty reluctant, but I don't know. They're clearly much smarter than other animals, even companion animals like dogs. So it's okay. So I don't know. Is it okay if they get trapped in those little balls and we make them fight each other? That's going to happen in this movie. So we're going to have to ask a lot of questions.
I do
they
it all the
need
time.
like legal protection? Because according to Junichi Masuda, who produced Pokemon Sun and Moon, the inside of the Pokeball is like a fancy little hotel room. But is he just saying this to make us all feel better?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing: when we're playing this game as kids, watching the animated series as kids, you don't think about it too hard. It's just the Pokeball opens.
They're
and
really
they,
cute.
They dematerialize into pink energy, and they get sucked in the ball, and then it wobbles a little bit, and then it goes dormant, and then they're like computer files at that point. I also watch at the same time as Digimon, so I think I just applied the same rules of Digimon over to it.
I think they both did. I think both shows kind of follow that.
Yeah, it's the same thing. But it is something weird where they do start talking to each other, and it's they pose that question in the trailer, right? Like, why can't other people hear him but only he can? Like, it's not just familiarity and intimacy, right? Like, Ash and Pikachu that was the closest on-screen relationship I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about what they were doing off screen. That's how close it was.
Brock and
But they
Misty-
couldn't talk aside from when he banged his head and then you
Meowth
heard him
talks
talk.
though.
Meowth
That's
does
right.
talk.
And I know there's an explanation. It's not on the tip of my tongue right now, so I'm not going to get into that.
Remember when
there's
we
a
were
whole
Jesse and James?
solo episode. There's a solo episode where he is an outcast from the other Meowths.
There you go.
And then he tries to endear himself to humans so much by copying what they do. It's a struggle. It's like it jumps over the course of like several years where we see Meowth try to fit in with humans, and then he becomes the sideshow freak, and both sides scorn him. It's tragic. So if that's the story we're going with Detective Pikachu,
But he goes with the side of the angels and becomes a detective to help solve crimes in Rhyme City.
I have a question. Ryan Reynolds doesn't need money, does he?
No.
no, he's sitting good. Yeah.
Why?
Right. Well,
I'll be honest, I do like the voice, and it did make me want to see the movie because I thought the comedy was pretty tight.
Okay.
Well, the Detective Pikachu game that it's based on, the voice actor has a similar one to what Ryan Reynolds is doing. It's kind of a gruff, like adult man kind of voice. Ryan Reynolds is
When we
funny.
were covering this story 3 years ago, when they were first casting, was Danny DeVito not up for it?
I think it would have been a lot better. I want to hear like Wanda Sykes. Like,
You know what? I'm picturing like a Tommy Lee Jones, like a really gruff, like an angry man, like a really angry man.
He's
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I want him to like rough somebody up
Or
in
like
the middle
Alex
of an
Jones.
that meme popped up online. I saw that one. But
Yeah.
what do you guys think this means for the Pokemon universe in general? It is going to we're going to get a lot of questions when we see the Pokemon have to come out of the Pokeball and fight each other. It's going to make it not feel good. Also, based on the comedic writing of these people who wrote Guardians of the Galaxy as well, I hope they show us what the inside of the Pokeball looks like, so maybe we can feel better at home. Let us know in the comments down below, though, what you think.
Yeah. But let's move on to our next segment. I'm resurrecting Pitch Me. You guys remember Pitch Me in the
Yes.
early days where the show used to be called something different? Here's the deal, folks. General Mills, the cereal company, and they produce a lot of consumer goods, is soliciting ideas for movies, TV shows, and web series featuring their monster characters. You know, the usual suspects, Count Chocula, Frankenberry, and Boo Berry. Guys,
These did not make their way to Australia because we do not allow that amount of sugar in children's breakfast cereal.
Yeah,
Well,
cowards.
You'd probably be a lot happier down there if you would. Yeah, it's because it's a prison colony and they don't want kids to eat.
I mean, it was like hundreds of years
It
ago.
makes their blood too sweet, so the wolf spiders come after you.
America's the most obese country in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're not-
number one.
Guess what number 2 is?
Diabetes. Yeah.
Frankenberry's fingernails are strawberries. Continue.
Okay, here's what we need to know. Here's a casting breakdown,
Oh my
guys.
God.
Here's what you need to know. Count Chocula is, of course, a vampire. Frankenberry is a Frankenstein monster. Boo Berry is a ghost.
Or ghoul.
Boo Berry wears a hat. Very important. And at one point, Frankenberry included a pink dye that made kids poop pink.
Is that like when you eat beets and you're like,
Or
Why am I eating beets?
Very
They're
specific
delicious.
story
I have
here.
to go to the hospital now.
When I ate like half a tub of red vines by myself, and that one I called my dad in tears because I thought I was.
I'm sad that you were by yourself. Like, what was that night like?
I'm not going to eat half a tub of red vines with someone else.
Then the whole thing
That's
would be bad.
definitely an alone task.
Okay, so the pink poop doesn't have to be part of your pitch, but bonus points if it does. Now, here's the questions. Should these characters be heroes or anti-heroes, Suicide Squad style? Who's the big bad of this story? Are we thinking origin story? Frankenberry and Boo Berry, are they related? Are they dating? Are they both? Fan casting ideas?
Fan casting.
Who should voice these characters? Ryan Reynolds?
All
Danny
right.
DeVito? Give their best shot.
There you
Pitch
go.
me, baby.
All right, so right off the bat, I'm getting like maybe like a Hotel Transylvania vibe where they're all together. They're all together for some reason. Maybe like throw that out because it's more of a comedy. But I what if we had like more of a kid stumbles in the vein of Hotel Transylvania, where a kid stumbles into like a haunted house, and you get here you go. Throw that away. Van Helsing. We have to.
liked that.
No, throw that away. I want Van Helsing because I want it to be darker. People like their dark and gritty stories. We have a Van Helsing type character. You guys think about which serial icon that could be.
No, you think about it.
No, think about it. You guys think about it. Leprechaun from Lucky Charms. That's who it is.
Lucky?
Yeah, he's hunting down. And he's got the luck of the Irish, so he's going to hunt down all these monsters because he wants to be the only person he's got a monopoly on. The
Mr.
sugary
Monopoly's in
cereal.
here.
he
Most ambitious crossover.
Michael Fassbender, Robert Downey Jr., Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Huh? They switch.
And yeah, they switched. Yeah, we don't notice because we didn't see the movie. But my question is, General Mills has way more. Like you got Lucky, you got Trix Bunny, you got all the big good cereals. The Cinnamon Toast Crunch guy.
We had Toucan.
Mr. French Toast. I don't know what his name is.
Now
these are the B-side guys.
The Cinnamon Toast Crunch guys are now the Cinnamon Crunch Squares, and they eat each other.
One more time.
Cinnamon Toast
Crunch
Squares.
Yeah, they cannibalize. My idea, I want it to take place in Australia, land that has outlawed delicious cereal, and
they're fugitives.
And yeah, makes you eat kangaroo brats for breakfast. And these guys are fugitives. They're outlaws. They're trying to go on a PR campaign to get kids interested in eating cereal in the Mad Max wasteland that is down under.
Oh, the post-apocalyptic world where everyone looks a little bit too thin.
Yeah. And has far fewer guns per capita.
Isn't that great? Yeah. Hence why monsters are a threat.
They have to be. There's nothing else to be afraid of.
Well, all right. So mine is think Narnia, but instead of a wardrobe, you're like, where's the thing that comes in the cereal box? And you dig a little deep, and then you get sucked in.
Oh, and it's animated.
And then you meet the werewolf. I'm picturing green. We need a bit of green in here. And the werewolf is like, we didn't know where he went, and so you have to find the werewolf.
He's just a wolf, and no, he's a missing wolf.
But also, it's like an underlying message about kids eating healthy, because not all the time do you need a bad breakfast.
I disagree.
False.
I think
False.
all the time
Bad.
you do
False.
need a delicious breakfast.
So you're like, where is the sugar?
I
And
want
it's
a
like,
cube of sugar
Pivot.
right now.
Pivot.
Can we get on that?
Wait,
No
sorry.
cubes.
Quick
I'm a
question.
horse.
Who gets sucked into this world? Which major sports star gets sucked into this world?
Oh my God.
Like it's like a Wheaties box.
What happens with Wheaties?
Oh, sorry. You always have big sports icons on
Yes.
Olympians.
Gritty.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gritty gets sucked into He loves cereal.
Yeah. I don't know sport either. But that guy, the tall one who's good at the ball.
Michael Phelps.
So this is going to be like the next Mac and Me, right? Like McDonald's made a movie that they tried to make E.T. in the 80s.
Mac and Me is a McDonald's
Oh my
movie?
God,
It's a McDonald's movie.
Oh my God. No, is this the one with the kid in the wheelchair?
That's the one with Paul Rudd clip, yeah.
And who uses that all the time?
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd, yeah. And
Oh.
every time he goes on Conan or whatever, he's like, I got a clip of my new Anchorman movie, and it's just a clip of Mac and Me, of the kid in the wheelchair going off the cliff. Mac and Me, it's like it's McDonald's funded this movie, and they eat McDonald's.
Really?
It's the most tacky product placement thing ever.
I really liked that movie as a kid.
Yeah.
This is like move over Space Jam.
Yeah.
Okay.
This seems like emoji movie kind of thing, or
did not
Pixels
watch.
or all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's
Cool.
or Lego Movie, which it's an amazing movie. That's probably the best version
I'd
of
buy
that
Lego
kind of thing.
for my kids just because of that.
Because
I was
of
like,
Lego
that's
movie.
clever
If you
marketing.
could lean into Lego Movie, avoid Mac and Me, right?
Okay,
That's
so
our advice.
the last pitch, really quick. Vampire sucking all the blood sugar out of kids so he can go make his own cereal. The Frankenstein monster is made out of different pieces of people, and he needs sugar to run so he can keep going. And the ghoul possesses people to sneak into sugar factories and steal their sugar. And the Van Helsing is the Trix Bunny. And he could team up with the Lucky Charms leprechaun, and the kids are chasing everybody at the same time. And they're like, "Hey, give it back the cereal!" And it's like, "No, kids, because you're gonna die if these three get you."
Sam, you win. I admire your creativity and giving an F
The
for this
werewolf?
actual movie.
It's really hinging on people understanding puns across all languages.
Oh yeah, better translate that. Well, let us know what your version of this General Mills cereal movie will be. But let's move on to some other news that came out this week.
So let's talk Star Wars for a second. Yes, Pedro Pascal, you know him from Game of Thrones, has been cast as the lead in Jon Favreau's The Mandalorian.
Ooh.
You know him and love him as Oberyn Martell. You also know him as the guy who goes to my dog park.
Hey,
You know him as that.
we all know him as that.
Yeah.
He talks about it constantly.
But this new character is going to be described as a lone gunfighter in the outer reaches of the galaxy, far from the authority of the New Republic, aka the successful Solo.
Yeah, what we
That
wanted
sounds
it
like
to
that.
be. Yeah, it's that cough. Yeah, what were you going to say? You coughed in the middle of it.
Yeah. This is the movie that we wanted. I'm also starting my petition and need your help. If we are getting in the Mandalorian territory, then Satine Kryze, who is the Duchess of Mandalore, who looks exactly like me.
She does? bring up a picture.
There it is.
Oh, look at that.
Right?
Yep.
She was originally seen in the Clone Wars, and she's has a bit of love time with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Ooh.
And Ewan
Also wanna be
McGregor
with
one.
Ewan, yeah.
How is that not the smartest way to get to pass Ewan McGregor?
Get on it.
They
Yeah.
kissed in the show.
Yeah.
It's canon.
They did it.
Also cast in this one is Gina Carano. You know her as the former MMA fighter who played Angel Dust in Deadpool. She's been cast in the Disney Plus series as well. Does this mean we have to get Disney Plus?
Yeah.
I think
This is
so.
pretty
I mean,
good
that was
so
a foregone
far.
conclusion. Yeah.
We don't have any information on her character yet, though, but look at her. She's going to whoop some ass.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what she does. She
Badass.
whoops it.
Yeah.
So with these 2 casting announcements, are you guys excited? Do you like the premise of Mandalorian so far?
Yeah,
Do you
no.
like the fact that they're doing a subscription service, one to hook us in?
Yeah, no, that they got my money. As soon as they as soon as they said it, I'm like, I'm gonna have to at least try it out for a month. And then you start hearing about all like the Marvel shows and these Star Wars shows. It's like it's kind of a no-brainer. Also, Pixar has a vertical as well, so I'm like, yeah, I'm on board. Like a Monsters Inc.
great.
or Monsters University show. I'm
I
like,
can say no to that.
you're missing out.
Yeah.
I surprised myself.
You're gonna be left behind, Maude. I mean, Pedro Pascal is amazing. He was in Narcos, right? Am I crazy?
He was in
I think
Narcos. He was
Narcos.
also in the second Kingsman
Yeah.
movie as a fast-talking
He's an
Cowboy
entertaining guy.
Texan.
He-
I liked that
Already
version.
proven in a streaming series. This is going to be great. It's gonna, and this Favreau is behind this one.
Oh yeah, he's
It's all
show
his.
running, and Taika's going to be directing an episode, and
it's
so many
great.
other
Kerry Fukunaga,
amazing.
I think is doing an episode as well. Man,
Yeah.
it's gonna
How
be
do you
great.
say that so effortlessly?
I just say it real fast and it sounds right.
Yeah.
That's the trick.
That's what I need to work on.
It's usually wrong.
But in other news this week, Disney applied for a patent for a more realistic lightsaber to be used as props in their movies and also toys. Hopefully, it toasts bread. I would love that. Also, Birds of Prey cast a 12-year-old Ella J. Bosco as Cassandra Cain. Also, she is goddaughter to Dante Bosco. Rufio. Also,
Awesome.
Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Also, fun fact, John Cryer of 2.5 Men fame will be playing Lex Luthor in this season of Supergirl.
Sure.
Interesting. And also
That's a
interesting,
fun choice.
Game of Thrones dropped a video looking back on their first 7 seasons and announcing that season 8 will premiere in April of 2019.
Wow, that's a lot earlier than we expected. All right, well, lightning round time, yeah?
I'm going to take control of this one because it is lightning round for New Rockstars News. Now, you guys, if you want to get your questions in, all you have to do is tweet us. Just any old question for anyone who's on this panel. I'm going to ask them. They're going to give us the answer. But it's lightning round, so it's got to be super, super quick. Are you ready?
Yes.
Eric, you're going first. This one's from @SergeantCoolBeans. With the new live-action Disney movies coming out, is there any other Disney movies that you would like to see adapted into live action?
I think Mulan's on the schedule, right? I want to see Lion King Part 2 or 1.5, right? Yeah, I want to see that. Yeah, Timon and
What? It's already
Pumbaa. It's like
happened?
No,
Rosencrantz
1.5.
Guildenstern
Yeah.
with Timon and Pumbaa. Yeah, that's
Is
my
that
answer.
because Pumbaa is 1 and Timon is the half?
They're
It's an in-between. It's a
they're
between.
equals.
You have to just
They're
stand
intellectual
downwind.
equals. Yeah.
We've got that one. I've got one here. @Zola_89. Which is your favorite Stanley cameo? #Stanley. Every time I get asked this, I think I've been asked this question before, and I always get like the Fantastic Four.
The mailman?
The one from the wedding.
Oh,
At
yeah.
the wedding, or he's
Always
crying.
pops into my
Yeah.
head. Well, let's be honest, it's him DJing at a strip club.
That one's pretty good.
Yeah.
Deadpool. Sam, we got one from @Rory Ragman Regan.
Ragman, hell yeah.
What Disney Princess and Marvel character would make for the ultimate team up?
Ooh, ultimate team up. I'd say Rapunzel from Tangled, so she can use her hair to move around. And I'd throw her in with Spider-Man because I want to see them swing around New York.
That's cute.
Yeah, that's cute.
I ship
That's
it.
what
I
lightning
actually ship
round.
it.
Lightning-
She's about 16, isn't she? 17?
Older than.
Eric, here's another one from @Birdie688. Hey guys, I'm not sure if you've already touched on this, but I was wondering what you think about Sansa, Bran, and Arya killing Littlefinger when he was a guest under their roof. Isn't that breaking the guest right law?
Oh, I mean, the rules of hospitality must be broken, especially if there's a traitor in your midst. They got evidence that he conspired to work against them. I mean, yeah, no, that's yeah.
I feel like that all went out the window after the
Red
Red Wedding.
Red Wedding changed
Yeah.
everything with hospitality. Yeah,
Red
Good
Rum.
question.
Sam, @Gosh but the E is a 3. If you were to swap hairstyles with any of the MCU characters, who would it be?
Tom Holland. He has got really good hair. Or Star-Lord. Because I want to do that weird beard thing that he does, like on his halfway up his
cute.
face.
Yeah,
I couldn't pull it off.
I've got one here from Maxie Steinbacher. Which Batman would win in a fight? Christian Bale's or Ben Affleck's Batman? Christian Bale. He's got next level psycho.
Yeah,
Ooh,
he's
yeah.
a bit wild. Yeah, real amateur. Not him.
Eric, was it HP wants to know what color socks do you have on right now?
Black.
You didn't even have to check.
Yep, I know. I only have black socks.
Should I double check?
Yep. I'm not wearing
Don't
socks.
touch me! I don't
Sam,
have socks.
Sam, I got one from Stam 1994. What was the first comic book that you read or bought?
It was Action Comics #1, New 52. It's when Superman had a T-shirt on. It was a fun one. I related to him because I also own T-shirts.
Good. I've got one from @SandyDuck. Time permitting, will you do a Game of Thrones rewatch before the last season starts? I will at least watch the last season, if not the last 2. If I could do all 7, yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Sick. Erik, this one's from Christian92114. Are we going to get Cap to say Avengers Assemble in Avengers 4? We got it right.
Oh, he must. Yeah, that's an easy one. Just throw it in there, even if it's real
Like
small
as
in the
he
background.
dies?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Avengers Assemble is a bit too late for that, right? Yeah. No.
Sam, this one's from Brother Gamma. Which Stark tech would you use in everyday life?
Ooh. I would get Cap's magnetic shield bringer backer thing, but I would do it for like a cell phone or a wallet, but hopefully the magnets don't mess it up too bad. All my credit cards get ruined immediately.
First time you use it, phone shatters.
Yeah. Come to me.
The last question I've got is from Deneb Tricks. For Christmas, what would you give your favorite superhero? A hug.
Oh, they need a
A
hug.
long one.
Yeah, we all need a hug. Whom?
At this stage,
Whom?
I'd just like a nice hug.
From whom?
Whom? Just anyone.
It's a superhero.
Oh, anybody.
All right. Well, we're moving on to our 15-second shout-outs. For each of us, this 15-second shout-out, plug, ramble about anything you want. Sam, got anything for
I
us?
said a thing earlier that I should have mentioned now. Anybody remember what
Just
that
say it
was?
again. No. Yep.
Not a clue, right?
Not a clue.
Nothing? All right, so I'll mention a Twitch show that I host on Wednesdays and Thursdays at twitch.tv/playnoggin, 4 p.m. PST. I talk about nerdy stuff, play games, talk about all the superhero TV shows that are on the air, every single one of them. I even watched Gifted, and that one hurts.
Oof.
And
Ouch.
Titans.
For my 15 seconds, listen to the podcast, last podcast on the left. I think it's really great. Next.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I create, run, produce everything. A show on Geek Bomb called Fungens and Flagons. It's D&D inspired, except there's no rules. It's more improv, and Sam Bash is on it.
Hello.
Yep, there's a little bit of drinking, hilarity ensues, there's lots of fun times, and I think we're up to episode 4, which is coming out earlier on Geek Bomb's Patreon, and then the public gets it on Saturday, and Devon's editing it, so shout out Devon, you can show your thumb, I permit.
15 seconds
That's
for
enough.
Devin.
That's enough.
Seconds.
Cool.
Well, here we go. Let us return to our answer to the trivia question that we asked earlier. The question was, what was the first comic book written by Stan Lee? Before I reveal the answer and what we wrote, the loser will have to join our GIF of shame, draw a thing from the box, do it as a weird gesture and look goofy, and then you'll turn it into an animated GIF and we'll tweet it out. And it'll look silly. All right, let's see what we wrote.
First up, I have Maude, and she wrote Captain America.
He seemed like the older one.
That's pretty
he is
safe,
a
actually.
throwback,
Yeah.
yeah. Sam wrote Archie. So the Archie and Veronica comics.
Sorry.
And then Erik wrote Mighty Mouse.
Well, the correct answer is Captain America foils the traitor's revenge.
Wait.
Captain America is the winner.
Oh my God,
Wait.
guys.
Oh, for a second there, I was like, wait
a second, one couldn't possibly
and I was
win?
like, oh, you're holding two different cards. I was like, are you serious?
All right, so Maude won it, and then which of us didn't win?
Mighty Mouse or Archie?
Mighty Mouse is not a human. Captain
What does that
America
matter?
is a human.
How many issues of each did he write?
Superman is
did
not
he
a
ever
human.
write on either of them? Should we check that? Should we check it to see if he
No,
even
I'll
wrote
lose.
on Archie?
All right.
Good.
So our judges have, Maude obviously won by writing Captain America. I have lost. I guess Mighty Mouse wasn't close enough. So Maude's going to get to her goodbyes. I'm going to join our GIF of Shade
Oh, you don't
Club.
even have to move.
Second
That's
the best.
awfully.
No, I'm already
Second is
right
the best,
here,
by
yeah.
the way. First the worst, second the best, third the
You
nerd.
have no responsibility right now.
All right,
It's
so this is what I have to
wonderful.
do. I randomly, you taste something delicious, followed by something gross, followed by something delicious, alternating. Okay, so just in my head, I just like taste things.
I
and
have
then
at
it'll-
least 10 ways I could use this gift later. I'm very
Ooh,
excited.
So
So
this is
good.
on you. Make me into something.
Shame.
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 And then
Shame.
Maude gets to do her
Shame.
goodbyes.
Shame.
I got that more in frame.
Shame. Shame.
Shame.
Shame. Well, go on,
Shame.
taste it. Go on. Anyway, thank you for watching this week's episode of New Rockstars News. Let's thank our host today. You've got Erik Voss, who's reacting.
What is
no!
that?
Oh, he didn't like that one. I'm Maude Garrett at Maude Garrett. Oh, Erik, I guess, was at EA Voss, but I'm a winner, so I don't need to get everything right. And Sam Bashor at Sam Bashor.
Hello.
Comment down below. Chat with us. You can also tweet at New Rockstars. Like this video, share it around, subscribe to Geek Bomb. Please, guys, I had 108,000 subscribers and now I'm down to 99,000 and I've already got the silver button and I don't want to take it off my wall. But hey, whatever. Let's just not pretend that YouTube has awful algorithms that like to mess with us. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for eating bad foods and good foods. Bye.
Bye. Count Chocula's gonna get you.
I've got 2 microphones.
Yay.